Hi, this is Jackie Radford from Checked Out Art, and we're going to talk paper today. What kinds of paper can you use in bookbinding? Now, the kind of bookbinding that I do, long stitch or Coptic bookbinding, it all involves sewing. We are actually going to be poking holes in the paper and then sewing the paper to some kind of a cover. And because of the sewing, the choice of paper gets to be important. Now, your regular just copy paper that you find in just your copier, that's a 20-pound paper. It's kind of a lightweight paper, and when you go to poke holes in it and sew it, it rips really easily. So it's not often the best choice for bookbinding. I prefer to use, my favorite paper is this Mohawk brand. Text weight. It's a 70-pound text weight paper. Now, what's the 70-pound versus the 20-pound copier paper? What does that mean? That's actually the weight of a specific amount of paper. So the higher the weight, the sturdier the paper is. So when you go to poke holes and then stitch and pull your stitching tight, this 70-pound paper won't tear, whereas the lighter weight papers really will tear. Now, that being said, what if, like this book, you really want to use some handmade papers or just some scrap paper that you have? How do you use this light paper, this really lightweight paper, in bookbinding? Because it's a lot more fun, I think, to use some of these just kind of random papers in a book. I think that makes it interesting. The key is when you have your signature, when you have your stack of paper that you're going to then fold in half to make your signature, you want on the top and the bottom, you want to have this really good heavier weight paper. And in the middle of the signature, in these sheets number 2, 3, 4, and 5, that can be your lighter weight paper or your scrap paper or your maps or whatever. As long as you tuck them in the middle of the signature and you've got a nice heavy sheet on the top and on the bottom, you should be able to sew without any problems. The Mohawk paper that I use, I order it right from the company, Mohawk.com, and it comes in a large parent sheet. It is, I think, 38 by 25, and you can see how big it is. I find it to be a little more economical. I get these big parent sheets for about $1 a sheet, and I can get about 7 pages out of one of these parent sheets. And I have this wonderful measuring board. It just sits on my table, and then this fantastic tear bar. And so I just, move the tear bar down to whatever inches I want, and then I just take the sheet and then tear it down the tear bar, and then move the tear bar over, and then tear it down, so that I end up with all of these stacks of signatures. And this is just what I tore down today. I like to tear down by hand my text block, because I really like this kind of raw edge that you get right here. It's called a deckled edge, and I think that makes it look just a little more handmade. So I like to hand tear and not just use a guillotine cutter or a Champion or Triumph cutter or whatever. So I like to tear by hand. It's kind of a part of the ritual for me to have the paper out and have it stacked, and then move the tear bar, and then tear and tear, and then move the. And that's kind of part of the ritual of bookbinding for me, is to tear down my text block by hand. You're certainly welcome to use a paper cutter, and it certainly will go a lot faster. And it'll be a little more, you'll have a little more evenness, but I really just prefer this deckled edge. I think it's a nice kind of handmade look to the paper. So you can use any kind of paper you want, as long as on the top and bottom of the signature, the first page and the last page of the signature is a heavier weight paper, and this is the Mohawk from Mohawk.com 70-pound text weight. And text weight just means that it's more like a heavy stationery paper. It's good for writing. Cover weight is more like cardstock that you're used to seeing. It's a little bit thicker. That's a cover weight paper. It's a little bit harder to fold, and it makes a lot thicker book. It's just a lot more substantial paper. So enjoy finding paper, enjoy tearing down your text block, enjoy finding just random little bits of paper that you want to put in a book. And I think that should cover a lot of your paper choices. I hope this helps as you start your bookbinding adventure. Thanks so much, and bye-bye.